Hello and good day. My name is Gayatri Ganesa and my NACHI number is 287459. First of all, I will explain about the background of study. So our background study is growing the most of land owned by the smaller farmer, and nature is a vital and crucial industry raw material that will be so many years to come. So overall, 80, 80% of the world rubber plantation area are in Asia, with 70% of total number of tree production for those areas is begin in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. The factor influencing Malaysia rubber saw month over month increasing, which is 5.4 percentage, which is around 48 tons. In comparable way, the production is increased by 0.3% in October 2019 compared to previous month. The Malaysia Rubber Board predict that if the government ambition expand plan of the industry is implemented, Malaysia rubber production will be increased more. Next, this is a scenario of the study. So Malaysia has become the world's fifth largest producer of natural rubber. So the rubber industry in Malaysia will begin in the late of 19th century of the Malaysia was responsible for more than 50% of the world rubber supplier. It is also the 1.2 million of hectare of land dedicated to rubber stabilization. So the rubber accounts over 60% of Malaysia export earning. So this investment in research and development during this period lead to introduce of high yield rubber clone, which is significantly improve productivity. Malaysia remain a significant player in the global rubber market, but this industry face some challenges such as labor shortage, competition from the significant rubber. So this part is a proper statement. So this is the graph that shows clearly the fluctuation of the population of rubber. So some researchers state that the main cause is worker, especially the youth, because they are prefer to work in industrial sector compared to agriculture. So it is leading to become labor shortage. There are limited worker because the minimum wage is around 700 to 1,000 compared to the industrial job. Therefore, the local did not contribute the rubber trade sector, and the government hire more foreigner employees. So this is the problem they are facing for the rubber production. Okay, next is the research question. This study aims to address three main research questions regarding the effect of the rubber tree production in Malaysia. So we used 30 years, which is from 1994 to 2014. So the research question is first, what are the key factors that contribute the rubber tree production in Malaysia from 1994 to 2024? Second, what the relationship in rubber tree production and pay worker during the last payment in Malaysia from 1994 to 2024. And last, the third one is how does the level of pay worker influence the rubber tree production in Malaysia from 1994 to 2024. Next is research objective. So to answer the research question, there are three objectives that I included. So the first objective is to list the key factor that contribution the rubber tree production in Malaysia from 1994 to 2024. Then the second and third one is the specific objective. So the first specific objective is to study the relationship between the rubber tree production and the pay worker in Malaysia from 1994 to 2024. And the last one to analyze the level of number of pay worker that influence rubber tree production in Malaysia from 1994 to 2024. This will be next chapter, which is chapter 2. I will go through the literature review. So this is theoretical review and methodological review and empirical review. So in our study, we have also a gap of the study. So our gaps of study is pay of worker during the last period of the day. So I do this gap because this still question, and it is why and how to influence the production of the rubber of production. Although the other researchers talk about this gap in other countries, but not in range or detail in Malaysia. So next is the methodology. So this is the research variable and can you look this diagram about the theoretical framework in our study? So I already stated that there are some theory to contribute in our study. So there are more. It is the research hypothesis, model specification, and method or technique of the data analysis. I will continue the next chapter about the method that I use it. So there are 4 tests I use it in our study, and I will detail on the chapter 4. Okay, this is the main part of this study. So first, in this study, we collect data were analyzed using SAS to examine the relationship between the dependent and independent variable. The independent variable are the total area of rubber plantation, the number of paid worker, and the crude oil price in US dollar per barrel. In the finding, we discuss the analytical method used and the study analysis. So first, we use the regression. So the regression, the researcher use the OLS, which is ordinary least square regression. So you can see that the progress of the regression that we using the SAS. The value indicated that the model explained a large portion of the variability in natural rubber production. In the theory, the coefficients for x1, x2, and x3 are all positive, suggesting that increase in the area of rubber plantation, the number of paid worker, and the crude oil price in US dollar per barrel will assisted the increase the rubber production. So in this study, it is found that the coefficients of the total area of rubber plantation, which is 0.9205, indicate a positive relationship between a rubber production and the planted area in nation. The coefficient of the number of paid worker, which is x2, is indicate 3.20655, also showing a positive relationship. We can conclude that for each 1% increase in x2, the total of production will be increased by 3.20655 percentage. Next, we using the t-statistic test. We use that to study found out that all independent variables, which is x1, x2, and x3, are significant at the 1%, 5%, and 10% significant level. This means that the probability that these variables are not effect on the dependent variable, which is rubber production, is very low. The f-statistic value is much larger than the critical f. The f-statistic tests the overall significance of the regression model. So for me, the conclusion, the higher significance of the variable and the less excellent goodness of fit indicate of the rubber production model is both statistically significant. This means that the model is reliable or predicted rubber production based on other independent variables considered. Next, we analyze using the autocorrelation test. So autocorrelation refers to the relationship between the first observation and the error in the previous observation within the model. This is occur when the error in regression model are correlated with each other. So we use the Durbin-Watson method. When we run the data in the SAS software, the Durbin-Watson statistic is 0.838. Then we obtain that the Durbin lower and the Durbin upper to determine the critical value. So therefore, we conclude that we reject the null hypothesis, which states that there are no positive correlation, and we accept the alternative hypothesis, which is indicate the present autocorrelation at the 5% of significant level. Next, in order to meet the hypothesis, the following hypothesis is examined through the use of correlation, which is multi-correlating. In this, we use the Pearson correlation. So if the relationship between variable is valued at the 1, it is indicate a perfect correlation. In such a case, it is challenging to observe the individual effect each independent variable on dependent separately. So there are no regression estimate can be performed. Therefore, the results of estimating of Pearson correlation coefficients show the most variable coefficient are lower the coefficient of determination. So in our study, we as R square is around 99%. So this indicates that a strong relationship between the variable, but we use the SAS, so we find that the multi-collinearity, we have a multi-collinearity issue. So you can see this process that how to find out the multi-collinearity. Okay, the last I will conclude and recommend in my study. So in the finding, we discuss the analytical method used and the study analysis. Previously, I list down 4 types of tests that carry out in my study. So the first is regression. The regression is the research used that OLS, which is ordinary least square regression. To select the best model in this study, we evaluated R square and adjusted R square value. So I get R square value is 99% of the variation in the output variable can be explained by input variable. So the model is, I conclude that effective model in this analysis. Next, I use the t-test for this study. So the result is matched to the theory that say that increase the number of work pair lead to increase the number of production. So it is confirmed that the theoretical expectation with empirical data. Next, by using the Bing-Watson to test that for the autocorrelation, so we conclude that we reject the H-null hypothesis, which is the state there is no positive autocorrelation, and we accept the alternative hypothesis. Finally, by analyzing multi-collinearity, the result of the estimate by using peer correlation coefficient show that most variable coefficients are lower than the coefficient of determination R square, which is around 99%. But in this indicated that there are strong linear relationship between the variable, but there have a multi-collinearity issue. So I conclude that the factor beyond the usual market dynamic of supply and demand, like the total number of pay workers. This study also provides statistics on rubber production from 1994 to 2024 to better represent the past 30 years. Next, I will continue with the limitation of study. So we find out autocorrelation past value of rubber production influence the future value. Can comply the analysis of lead to misleading to conclusion if not properly to address. Similar to multi-collinearity, where independent variables are high correlated, can affect the reliability of regression coefficient and the interpretation of their significance. Last but not least, due to time constraint, the scope of this analysis does not include a comprehensive and explore the whole of potential future research avenue. Is a more detailed to investigate into additional factor and long-term trend. So and these resources available for this research. The research I cannot finish in one semester, so it could be take some time to explore to get more information about this study. So it maybe I will do this in future. So in conclusion, acknowledging this limitation is a crucial for interpret the study finding and for guiding for future research. Next, suggestion of the future study. So the future study is I need to evaluate the future research may include effect of future market activity toward the uh, rubber production. So in this future study, the government interest policy and encouragement may also affect the rubber production. Future research may expand the researchers to the world rubber production instead of Malaysia production only. To I also investigate any connection might be exist between the products produce the rubber and the pay worker or other factor like climate change or supply or demand. So this research can be used and to learn to get information by researchers who are interested in conducting research along those paths. These data and insight could be benefit for the future study. That's all from me. Thank you.